Today, I want to talk about a way of living. And that way of living is the art of acceptance. That's right, it's an art. Because acceptance is not easy. Acceptance is often misunderstood as a resignation or indifference. You don't resonate, you don't resign yourself to anything. You're not indifferent. It's actually a powerful place that allows you to live more peacefully and authentically. It's not that you resign, but you're fully present to what is. You see, acceptance means accepting reality as it is. It's accepting what is unfolding in front of you as it is without trying to change, to resist, or to deny it. It's about seeing things as they are and embracing the truth of the moment, even when it's uncomfortable. So much of the time, we turn our focus away from what's happening to us. Why do we do that? Because we have built preferences. And we only want to see what we prefer, what we believe will make us feel good. In doing so, we're not looking at the reality that's in front of us. And the key thing is the reality in front of us is what we need to focus on. When we focus on the reality in front of us and we accept it as it is, we begin to move forward in a positive direction. When we don't focus on the reality as it is, and we focus on it through a preference, we are trying to avoid that which we don't want. And so that becomes a tendency that we start to avoid life. And think about this. You probably have, half a dozen to a dozen preferences? What that means is that you're trying to avoid everything that is not a preference. You're trying to change the planet. You're trying to change life. And what you've forgotten is you are a point of consciousness in the midst of everything that is happening. And you have no power to change what's happening around you. The only thing you have power to do is to change on what you focus on. Acceptance is not the same as liking or agreeing with everything that happens. It's not about giving up, but it's about letting go of the struggle against what we cannot change. Here's a common thing that people focus on. Oh my God, I'm going on a picnic. I have to have the weather just perfect. And then the weather starts to rain, or it's colder than you want, or windier than you want. And you go, oh my God, the weather did this. No. The weather is just the weather. Your preference has caused it to be something else. The weather happens no matter what you think about it. The silliness of the human being is that you can change the weather. I'll give you an idea. People pray for the weather to be different. I don't give a flip what you pray for. You're not going to change the weather. I don't care if you do a special rain dance. That rain dance is not going to change the weather. The weather is what the weather is. You are not that powerful that you're going to change everything that's happened over almost 14 billion years so that the weather responds to your thoughts. Think about how asinine that is. You're not going to change other people by how you think. You don't have that power. Acceptance is seeing what's in front of you and accepting as it is. When we accept what is, we free ourselves from the suffering caused by resistance. When we stop fighting against reality, we can begin to approach life's challenges with a clear mind and a more open heart. We then begin to deal with what is. You see, The Buddha said it really clearly. All suffering is a result of desire. What is desire? Desire is our preference. If we get what we have a preference for, we get exuberant. When we don't get what we have a preference for, we're unhappy. And what are we trying to do? Seek our preference, avoid what we don't want. That's not what life is. Life is always going to be giving you both sides. In fact, it's going to be giving you infinite sides. When you start accepting what life is, you fully feel it, you fully experience it, and you let it go. You literally open yourself up to a greater and greater experience of life. And guess what? The only true teacher that we have in our life is our experience. The more experience we have, the more wise we become. And we can have that experience without preference. The ability to accept is the realization that we're going to have experiences from all over the spectrum. And those experiences make us wiser. They give us a more grand expression of life. It's like we widen our focus from a very narrow scope of life, a pinpoint type life, to a broad life where we take in even more of life. You see, when we resist reality, this often leads to unnecessary stress, frustration, anxiety. When we resist what is, we expend energy on things that we cannot change, leaving us depleted and less able to handle what we can control. At the end of the day, do you find yourself depleted of energy, exhausted? I want you to think back. Was it yesterday? If it was, were you fighting what is? A week ago, I'm having a new deck put on the back of my house. And all of a sudden, the inspector from the city of Highland Village put a sign on my door as I was walking up, coming from the gym, and said, "All work must cease and desist." Why? I asked. "Well, you don't have a permit." I said, "Oh, I thought my contractor got the permit." He says, "He did not do that." Now, I didn't fight with him. He was doing his job. What I did do is call my contractor. He says, "Well, I haven't had to do it." And basically what the contractor was doing was he was trying to save a few $100s. I didn't fight it. It's what was. I said, "Have you filed for the permit?" He says, "Yes, I have." I did go down that same day and talk to the head of building inspections. And I showed him that we weren't changing the footprint on the house. We weren't doing anything like that. And he says, "Well, the contractor, once he fills it out and puts in the associated money, we'll process it." I didn't get upset. I accepted what is and I deal with it. So here we are almost a week later, the process, my permit is being processed. I don't expect them to process immediately. Think about that. The contractor didn't do it up front. I should have asked about that. I didn't ask. The city will get to it when they get to it. How's it hurting me? Why would I get upset? Why would I get frustrated? Why would I create that stress and that anxiety? Over a deck? What a waste of my energy. I see it. I realize it's going to get done. Everything in life gets done in the appropriate amount of time. I don't have to have the preference and upset my whole life because a deck is not being done. You see, when we accept, we conserve our energy, which allows us to focus on constructive actions and solutions. For example, in a difficult situations, acceptance stops us from dwelling on what we could have been or what we could have done. Instead, we focus on what we can do in order to move forward. Actually, when we accept, we empower ourselves. That's a really big thing. Realize You cannot change another person. If you're married, you can't change your spouse. If you have kids, you can't change your kids. If you have a parent, you can't change your parent, except where they are. And then use your energy on what you can change. What can be the solution? And most of the time is changing how you perceive things and working on the things that you can control. And life is going to keep bringing you situation after situation after situation to practice this, because it's just the way life works. When we accept our circumstances, we stop blaming ourselves or others, and we begin to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. We become self-loving. Why? Because we stop judging ourselves. Do you see that acceptance and love almost go hand in hand? In fact, in my world, they do. Because to accept yourself, you have to do what? You have to stop judging. What is the opposite of love? Judgment. So when you think about that, acceptance and judging are really synonymous. That's why my definition of love is the awareness and acceptance of my wholeness. The awareness and acceptance of the wholeness of others. The awareness and acceptance and wholeness of life. Do you see, like the example I gave about the deck? I became aware and acceptant the wholeness of life. There are rules. The city has a rule about a permit. That was not done, therefore there was a consequence. It's just the flow of life. To fight the flow of life is to waste your energy. When you accept what's in front of you, you have more energy to do what you can control. You got to stop putting your energy on those things that you can't do anything about. And the only way that you can do that is to accept what is. You see, acceptance is not about giving up, but embracing reality as it is, conserving your energy, and focusing on what you can control. Acceptance is a powerful tool for finding peace, strength, and clarity in the face of challenges. Right now, there's a lot of people on the planet that are tremendously upset about the politics in the United States. Can you do anything to change Donald Trump? Can you do anything to change Kamala Harris? The answer right now is no. So if you're looking at politics, ask the question, what can I do? Better yet, what can I do that's in the best interest of the majority of the people of the country? Here's what I do. I accept what is. These will be the candidates, whoever the candidates. There'll be 3 or 4 or 5 candidates. There'll be the minority candidates as well. What I can do, one thing, I can vote. So on November 6th, I believe that's the day, I can go in and I can be informed and I can ask the question before I vote. Who will best serve the majority needs of the people of this country? And in that moment, I know that the divine wisdom in me will give me my answer, and I cast my vote. Now, I understand. I will accept what is. I'll move forward. Now, in the meantime, I don't give it any energy. I am not going to waste my energy talking about politics. It's a waste of energy because you're not going to convince anyone of anything. And this is true just about in any life. Don't be talking to people about religion or spirituality and trying to convince them. You're not going to. It's a waste of your energy. People all have their own different views, and that's what they are. Everyone's supposed to have their different view. Accept people as they are, because when you do, you're loving them. I was having conversations with people the other day. 2 of these gentlemen were of Muslim background. We had wonderful conversations. We accept each other's difference of views. We're not extremists. We honor everyone's right to choose. That's what the country of the United States was built on, honoring everyone's right to choose. Not that everyone has to choose like we do. Accept what is. You see, when we embrace acceptance, we open the door to a life of greater peace, resilience, personal power, and inner freedom. And the thing that we want most in our lives is the freedom to express our unique gifts in our unique way, in our unique time. And if we want that freedom, we've got to be able to be willing to give everyone else the same freedom. I'm very grateful to live in the United States of America. I'm very grateful to have a mind that thinks outside the box. I'm very grateful that you're listening to this message, and maybe I can stir you to think for yourself, however that is. Because what I know is that when I practice the art of acceptance, I feel free. I feel peaceful. I feel love. I invite you to try it for yourself so that maybe you can feel free, you can feel peaceful, and you can feel love. Because when we do it together, we have a power, a greater power, to see the world as the most magnificent playground that's ever been created for us to experience life in all of its fullness and all of its grandeur. How you see the world is a choice. Make it one that's expansive and full of love.